Welcome back to the Say and Tom football show. Today we're going to be going over top week one matchups as well as betting odds as of early August. So odds subject to change, obviously. But yeah, with that being said, let's hear Saison's top matchup of week one.
Ooh, we've been waiting all year long for college football, and it's finally coming back. I am so excited. I know all of you are excited out there as well. Uh, Getting into week one of the college football 2025 season, we got to start off with the headliner. It's Texas Ohio State. It just is. Rematch of the semifinal playoff game last year. Texas Ohio State battled it out. And you know, Ohio State ran through everybody. They ran through Texas as well. But now we have a rematch in the first week of the season. I think that's just crazy to see the number one and number two ranked teams currently. I mean, the top 25, preseason doesn't mean too much, but the number one, number two in the week one, it's never happened before in college football. I saw the stats. It's pretty crazy. Um, Arch Manning versus Julian Sayin, the new quarterback at Ohio State. Steve Sarkisian versus Ryan Day, national champions rematch. It's perfect. It's exactly what you want, exactly how you want to kick off the college football season, and I'm so excited to get into it. Um, Picking a winner in this game very hard. We saw Ohio State win last season. It wasn't even that long ago. It was actually this year or just earlier this year. But I want to say Texas this time around. I think Texas gets their revenge. Arch Manning, I believe in him a little bit more just because I've seen a little bit more from him. I haven't seen anything from Julian Sain. It's going to be a fresh face in Ohio State, and I think that maybe the pressure of that matchup maybe gets to that new quarterback. So that's going to be a huge first game for him. Thrown into the fire immediately against a top premier program that's made the playoff 2 years in a row now. So I'll take Texas, but super, super exciting matchup. Can't get any better than that starting off the season. So love that. What you think about that, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you look at the betting odds on Caesars Sportsbook. So Texas is the home team. Both teams with a new starting quarterback. Arch Manning probably with, just a little bit better experience, I want to say. Especially, still being on the same team, just all that good jazz. Ohio State to just win the game outright is minus 135, which I think honestly is kind of crazy. First game of the season, they're on the road. I know they're fresh off the national championship, but sometimes you see like from the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl hangover, and they kind of have a slow start to the season after. Um, and Texas, they feel like they're back, which I guess it's fair to say they're back. They have Arch Manning, a great replacement for Quinn Ewers. Um, I was just shocked to see Texas at plus 115, and they're giving them 2.5 points. Now, again, I personally agree with the Texas pick. I think week one, I think Texas beats Ohio State. And, I don't know, the points are a safe bet, but it's only, it might as well take the plus 115 in my mind. But I just think, Texas and Ohio State are both two programs kind of on the same page right now. Well, I guess, yeah, Ohio State finally feels like they got back to where they were. If you remember, they were calling for Ryan Day's head. And then he goes out and he wins the national championship, which is just kind of funny where people were kind of giving him, it's like you either win the national championship or we want to fire you, which is absolutely nuts. But
Well, that's what he did. So
and
no harm.
exactly, he shut up all the comments. Everybody at Ohio State just needs
He
to
sure did.
relax and understand what they have going. And he was the predecessor for a reason, and he has never had a bad season at Ohio State. Texas, Steve Sarkisian hasn't really had a bad season at Texas. So, but I think Texas is a more seasoned team, and I think especially being in Texas, that place is going to be rocking. I don't think they're going to let Ohio State get more than the one section that they're allotted. Um, and so, yeah, on that one, I would take Texas as well, just all around.
And I just want to say real quick that this matchup, seeing this week 1 between two premier championship contenders like that, like immediately, it's a shame that one of these teams is going to have a loss on their record, right out the gate, week 1, and they're going to have to build back from that. So,
Well,
just it's this game has a lot of stakes. There's a lot on the line. There's a lot of pressure, for the playoff.
see,
And
see, I have to disagree with you on that point though, because I feel like as we've seen in the past, what no matter what, if it's early in the season, early in conference play, early week 1, and especially if it's against a good team, it's almost going to have no effect on your record as long as you finish out the rest of your season. I think that's the most important part for whichever team loses. They need to understand that their season is far from over, and basically whichever team loses, they need to just adjust and make week 2 their new week 1, if that makes sense. Just go from week 2 on, especially number 1 versus number 2, like that's, you can't, because the committee has never held an early loss against a high caliber team, even if it was against an unranked team that ended up being ranked 15th, or whatever the scenario is. The committee has never in their history ever held an early loss against a team. Other than that, I mean, at this point with the playoff, I mean, regardless, you're going to be playing a team first round with one loss. I mean, look at Ohio State last year. Didn't even make the Big Ten championship and goes on to win the national championship. So, you can still get in, and as long as you can get your foot in the door, if you're that team, you need to. It's just like the NFL at this point, where you need to be good at the end of the season. It doesn't really matter at the beginning, as long as you don't lose multiple games to start off the season. But that's just my 2 cents. Yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
no, I definitely agree, Tom. Don't get me wrong. I say that one of these teams will leave, the first game with a loss on their record. That sucks. But I definitely don't think that this loss, either way it goes, will hold them back from doing anything, going into the latter part of the season. Like this loss will not affect them at all. I agree. Especially because it's coming against another championship contender, top ranked team. Like this will be a good loss, as we call it.
And this
When it
is
gets
and this is why people wanted the playoffs.
exactly. Like, this game will not affect either Texas or Ohio State. They will be fine either way. It's just the fact that one of these teams will have a loss on their record. The other team will have a chance to, go undefeated, be the number 1 overall seed, number 2 overall seed, versus the other team will have to already have that one loss in the loss column. But no, it will not affect them either way it goes. Texas loses, they'll be fine. Ohio State loses. We saw that last year. They'll be fine. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois in week 3 last year. They were fine. So, don't get me wrong, they will definitely be able to come back from that. But I just think that week 1, one of those teams already having a loss, that kind of sucks. But it's going to be a different time when it comes playoff time.
Alrighty. Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with anything you said.